the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, and the fullness of his message live within you. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. When the Magi had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled. "Out of Egypt I called my son." When Herod had died, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." He rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea, in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go back there. And because he had been warned in a dream, he departed for the region of Galilee. He went and dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene. The Gospel of the Lord. In the middle of Vatican Square, there's an 82-foot-tall Egyptian obelisk. It was carved around 2500 BC, and it would have greeted all of those who were entering Egypt. The Romans moved it to Rome in 30 AD, which is because the Romans knew how to do souvenirs. They had to construct a special ship just to get it over the sea, and now it stands in the middle of the Vatican and greets everyone who visits. What is interesting to think about is how it is more than likely that that same obelisk would have greeted the Holy Family when they fled to Egypt. To gaze upon the same monument that the eyes of our Savior would have looked upon so many years ago can bring us closer to him in the present. And as we think about all the eyes through the centuries that have converged on that monument, we think about the Holy Family and how so many eyes converge on them and the example that they still are to all of us. If you have been keeping a tally, we see in today's gospel the second and third dreams that St. Joseph had, where an angel appeared to him. The angel gave a message about how to stay safe and where to go, meaning that they had to flee to Egypt. And when we're reading this, we can't help but have a little feeling of déjà vu, because it sounds so much like the story of Moses in Exodus. Pharaoh was afraid of the Israelites. He was afraid of them outpopulating the native Egyptians and taking control, so he wanted to decrease their numbers by killing their children. Herod heard of another king, and he wanted to protect his own authority, so he ordered the elimination of the holy innocents. Yet there were miracles on both accounts that protected both Jesus and Moses. Moses was taken in by none other than one of Pharaoh's daughters and was protected by the Egyptians themselves from their evil ruler. Jesus and his family were also welcomed by the Egyptians and were safeguarded from Herod in Galilee. There are even more parallels between Joseph of Genesis and St. Joseph. Joseph could interpret dreams, and St. Joseph understood what the angel was telling him in all those dreams that he had. Both had a father named Jacob, and both were persecuted, Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers, and St. Joseph having to flee his homeland with his family. And finally, both ended up saving their families. Joseph fed his family during the famine that occurred in Egypt and gave them a home. Saint Joseph saved his family from Herod's evil plot. Moses foreshadowed Christ, who would set the world free from sin. And Moses was the one who saved his people from the oppression of Egypt. But before Christ was to fulfill his mission on the cross, Christ had to first be part of a family. And everyone in the family has a different role. Saint Joseph fulfilled his role of being the paternal protector of the Christ child, as Mary fulfilled her role of mother, and Jesus fulfilled his role of being a child. Fathers have to be fathers, mothers need to be mothers, and children have to be children. The point is not to command everyone to do something specific. The teaching of today's readings is to give us guidelines on living in peace. That peace, as always, begins with charity. For love is the fulfillment of all good things. Love is at the heart of all giving that happens within a marriage. If you wake up in the morning and expect, 50%, 20%, or even 5% from your spouse, then you run the risk of being disappointed or even growing resentful. But when you wake up in the morning and you commit yourself to give 100% to your marriage, to give 100% of yourself to your spouse and your family, you will never be disappointed. You will only find joy in what you can do for your family. The Holy Family understood this better than any of us. They had those bonds of perfection, holding them together because love was at their very core. Take this new year to work on the love within your family. Take time out of your lives to be with each other. Eat together, talk together, pray together. Find little acts of love you can do for each other to make life easier. You might not all have the same temperaments, and that's okay. It's actually good because it prepares children for a life where not everyone's going to agree with them or do things in the same way as they do. And whenever you can, whenever life seems difficult for your family, pray to the Holy Family for guidance. Ask them to watch over you and protect you, to protect your own family. And when you do, know that they will help you in your struggles because they have lived them before and they want to give 100% of themselves to you.